Hey guys, thank you for tuning into the CEI podcast. My name is Atlanta Dawn. I am a local mural painter in the Quad Cities. I have a gallery space that I curate down at the Rust Belt in East Moline. It's located in the common area. Every month we feature a new local artist in that space. It is an artist-run space, and I manage it to give artists the opportunity to show a body of work that they've maybe never shown in a gallery before. So I get a lot of first-time people who have never shown their work, and they absolutely love to have that space and the opportunity. This month, in February, I have artist Gabo. He is a comic book artist. He is out of Chicago, Illinois, and he moved here 3 years ago to the Quad Cities with his wife. They are both really fantastic artists, and we are excited to have him in the space. His show is next Thursday, February 13th. His art exhibition at the Rust Belt from 6 to 9 p.m. We're going to have some snacks and refreshments and do a live art jam where he's inviting other artists to come, and we're going to do some drawing and hang out, have some music, have some snacks, and check out his artwork and get to hang out with the artists. So we're looking forward to that. We have him here today to do an interview on the CEI podcast. So thank you for joining us, Gabo.
My pleasure.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about what you do and your art?
Like Atlanta was saying, I am a comic book artist by trade. I also do a lot of just watercolor and gouache. For anybody who's ever tried to pronounce that word, this is your chance to now remember it. It's gouache, Gouache. But yeah, mostly I do comic book work. I used to do it exclusively, as a freelancer. I used to do it maybe for like a decade, where that was my job. That's all I did all day.
Wow, that was your only income?
That was my only income.
That's so cool.
It's not a lot of income, so I was luckily, it was
more of a passion project.
Yeah,
huh?
yeah. It was for anybody wanting to get into comics, it's definitely not gonna be a doctor instead. I don't know, and then do comics on the side.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was doing that for 10 years, and now I'm working a regular job doing working at a print shop, or it's like a business print shop. So we do a lot of large format things. But now I'm able to concentrate on things that I'm more passionate about versus just trying to pump out junk to feed the masses and the internet and try to make a quick dollar. Now I'm more concentrating on the things that I want to work on.
Sure.
Yeah.
I get stuck in that rut where I'm just project to project, back to back, and I get burned out because I'm just trying to make money and pay my bills, and you lose being able to do the things you want to do. I always have to put those on the back burner, and yeah,
it's rough. Sucks. Yeah, I know a lot of people like to throw around the term talent, and I think that term has been kind of blown out of proportion, because there are people who are like naturally talented, and you see that in anybody who's basically like a superstar usually is like talented, but for me it's been mostly just working my butt off, and I know that, and this has only really come to mind. I've only just figured this out within like the past 5-7 years, is that I have a significant problem in my brain, where I there's like a curtain where I can, it's like a mesh, so I can only see so much, and I don't study, and when I do, I forget things, and so for me, it's very hard to remember, like things that are supposed to be common knowledge, and I think people who are, I don't want to say that I'm dumb, but I'm not as intelligent as other artists. So it is harder for people who don't have that natural talent. So I've just been having to really bust my butt over the past 20, 30 years.
So as a kid, drawing, when did you start drawing?
And that's the other thing, is I think every kid in the world draws. Like as soon as they get a crayon, they start drawing. And as you get, you go into school and they're like, oh yeah, no, draw. Kindergarten, draw, please draw all day, please. First grade, oh yeah, no, okay, let's, we're not gonna be drawing as much now. Let's scale back here, start learning things that you don't actually need. It's good to know, but yeah, you don't really need these things here, but no more drawing. And then as the years progress in in the U.S. school system, it's like drawing like just takes a back seat, and then all of a sudden it's not even in the car anymore.
Yeah.
And so by the time you get to like junior high or high school, it's like it's back here. You know, it's like you don't even think about drawing unless you want to be an artist. And I think those who do start to draw, who continue to draw, are able to hone that. But yeah, I mean, it didn't, for me, it didn't really start to get serious until like my early 20s, when I started meeting other comic book artists who were actually professional working comic book artists. And I'm like, okay, I can actually do this. I can make some money here and there off of that.
Yeah.
Let's try to do that. But
So you did a lot of in high school. Did you have like a really good art teacher?
he was a really good teacher, Mr. Exner. He was really cool guy. Back then, though, I was a bit of a jerk.
Were we all in high school?
Yeah, we are all like jerks in high school, and he was a bit of a goofball, and he did a lot of dad jokes. And we just thought he was goofy and dumb, and but now now I see like he was just trying to be a good guy.
Yeah.
And he introduced us with a lot of interesting things. He would bring guests into class to like get us to learn different types of art and stuff. So it was a nice time, but
Did he try to promote like you guys going into an art university or art school after high school?
no, not that I remember. I mean, I'm sure he did, but to me, school after high school was not possible. I was a straight D student, so I knew that like actually getting into school, and I wasn't, like I came from like a lower, like lower middle class family, so going to college was not going to happen. It was not an option, and I definitely was not going to be able to get scholarships. And unfortunately, there wasn't. I'm sure there were a lot of opportunities for Latinos to get scholarships of sorts, or other just art programs. But like sometimes the what are they called? The people, the guidance counselors, they don't know that, or they just don't want to push, to tell you those things. So
Yeah.
for me, it was just or it's not secondary school, but like further learning, college and stuff was not, it wasn't an idea for me.
Super important. I had a really amazing art teacher at Moline High School, Mr. DeJoya, and he pushed me to do like a summer college program my junior year. So I went to Kansas City Art Institute, and then he was really adamant about like getting us into different programs and telling us different ways to apply for grants and all of that. So that was so helpful. So it's really fortunate when you have a good teacher. When you went to the Art University in Chicago, right?
No, it was actually an art institute.
Art Institute.
Yeah.
When did you decide to go to that? How many years? So you graduated without thinking of going to college, and then how did that progress into going to school?
Well, I technically didn't graduate high school.
That's okay.
I just decided I wasn't going back. I had gotten a really good job doing like software testing, so I was making like more money than a 19-year-old should be making. And so I was like, all right, no, screw school. I'm just going to learn programming and stuff at this job. And then things just fell apart. The economy fell apart. This is like 2001.
Okay.
So 9/11 hit, and just things went to heck. So I didn't actually go to college until I was 25, 26. Because at that point I was like, man, I need to.
That's probably smart, because I feel like I went to art school right out of high school. I was way too immature.
Yes.
I definitely wish I would have got some real like world experience first and made sure it was exactly what I wanted to do before I went, so I could have made the best of the experience.
Yeah. There were a lot of, like, I'd say like most of the people in my school were 18, fresh out of high school, and they shouldn't have been there.
Yeah.
Because this was one of those like the cookie cutter websites that are now defunct. They're not around anymore. They got shut down because of like bad practices. And like most of the kids there like were not. They would just play Smash Brothers all day, like in the lounge, in the lunch room. Or they just wouldn't turn in their work or whatever.
Do you think they graduated? Was there a high?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. And they would have a portfolio show, and it was like every quarter, every 2 quarters, they would have a portfolio show where you'd have like the animation students, interior design students, all the different programs that they had. They would have a little portfolio show to invite employers, local employers, to look at the new talent pool to see if they wanted to hire anybody. And man, there'd be like maybe one dude who did what he was supposed to be doing, or she. And everyone else was like, you could see the dread on their face. Like, what did I just do? I just spent like 3.5 years of my life like goofing off, and now I have this table with a monitor displaying a demo reel of my animation that just looks like
Nothing.
like nothing. It's just hot garbage, and it's like you can just see the face on them is like, what am I gonna do? I guess I'm gonna go work at GameStop for a bit, and then yeah. So it definitely
Wow.
yeah. If you want to get into art and you want to go to art school, maybe take a year or two off. Work on your art, because if you work on your art and then you go into art school and you're already like, like you'll be there, you'll like, let's say you're 20 and you go into art school, and everyone there is 18, and if you've been working on your stuff, you're just going to be like ahead of them.
Yeah.
It's just like a cheat code.
So when I went to my Milwaukee, I remember a gal came in, she was like 28, and all the guys were like, wow, she's old and she's so hot. But she had already like a very cohesive style to her art and was making these beautiful paintings of like underwater ocean landscapes, florals, and she had a very, very consistent style and was already just producing really great work, and then coming into the university and just crushing it and making the right connections. And I remember like just being so jealous, not jealous, but like in awe of just that she was successful. And that and I remember that now, and I'm like, wow, that was really smart. And I've considered going back to school, but now I have kids, so it's never going to happen. But yeah, that's really cool. So when you were in college, like your artwork is so fantastic and so detailed, and there's very few comic illustrators in the Quad City area, so we're so grateful to have you. How would you say? So you said you focused on discipline with drawing. How many hours, or like what does that look like to get to where you're at now with your art?
Oh man, number one, I basically did not play video games for a very long time.
Yeah, so you cut out one bad habit to work on one good habit. Yeah, so that's smart.
And it really, I know I suffer from, like I was saying before, I suffer from that problem where I can't see clearly. Not visually, but like in my brain, I can't see things clearly.
Well, you were asking, so when we were setting up your show, you're asking me if I could visualize, just by closing my eyes, can I visualize pictures? Some people don't have that. You can do that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And what I mean by like not being able to visualize things, I work too fast. I draw things too fast, and I don't think. Like I'm just doodling, and I don't think like, does this make any sense? Is the nose that I'm drawing is it
I think that
correct?
goes with your artistic style, though. Maybe you don't need to think about it.
And
because once you start thinking about it, then you overthink it, and then nothing gets done.
And that's my superpower, is that I don't care. I don't care what it looks like.
Yeah.
I just want to like dump it out. And I literally like just visual garbage comes out of me just bleh,
No,
all the time.
that is a superpower. I would agree, because when I'm trying to just draw things, I'll start out like that where I don't care, but then in my mind starts taking over. I'm like, well, would someone not like the nose that way? Would someone not like the eyeballs like that? What if the pupils are off? And I get way too in my head, because I do a lot of commercial art and things have to look a precise way, that I have a hard time like freeing up and loosening up and not caring. I think that is a constraint on what I do when I'm drawing, and then I get discouraged and I stop. I don't know.
Yeah, that's one of those important things, is that like my wife, she's also an artist, and she's like significantly better than I am, and she's even better at like being able to understand the right and wrong of things. And I know that it's art, it's subjective, and there's no right and wrong, but there is right and wrong when you're drawing a face, and it's got to be, like if I have to do like an angry expression, and if it makes them look more like happy, then that's wrong. I'm doing it wrong. And she's way better at that stuff. So
I don't think you give yourself enough credit.
I know, like there is a lot that I know that I'm.
You guys have to
at.
check out Gabo's work. It's amazing.
But there's a lot, and you'll be able to look at your work and you'll be like, oh, there's all these things wrong with it. and then that I know that paralyzes some people and they can't produce more work. But then there's other things that you don't know. Like you just don't know that, oh, that's actually not the right way to, like
Yeah.
the
Well, I will
arms,
say, seeing your composition is beautiful,
Thank you.
and you know color theory.
Hmm.
What about like drawing, like illustrating comics? What's the hardest part?
Oh, geez. Okay, so in comics, usually you're working with a writer, and you basically have to take the writer's script and make the composition of what they wanted. Sometimes the writer will like tell you exactly what they want. Sometimes they won't tell you what they want, and they'll just say, "Oh yeah, there's a scene. It's a hallway, and there's people walking through it."
It's like so vague, and they're like, read
Yeah,
my mind exactly
yeah.
what I want without me telling you
But
anything.
sometimes that's great because then I get to decide how to direct that. I'm the director of photography there. I know where I want. I know how I need to set things up, and it sucks because you have to. It's not just like drawing the hallway. If you have two people talking, you have to figure out where is this person going to be, who's talking first. There's all these rules. Like if person A is talking first and person B is talking next, typically you like the rule is the first bubble has to be like the person on the left. And I know some rules can be broken and all that, but there's a lot of like things like that that go into.
When you
Yeah.
break it down that way, it makes me understand more of what you were saying, how you don't know the precise formula of doing some things, or you don't remember to do the precise formula because you're speaking specifically about comic books, which I don't know anything about. But yeah, I could see now why that can be hard, and just the storytelling aspect of it is very difficult.
And it's like every single panel in that on
You-
a page is a different composition. Sometimes you can like repeat the composition for just for storytelling purposes. But I mean, like it's like I have like a really I have a painter friend who does card or used to do cards for like Magic the Gathering and stuff, and he always hated me because not hated, but he was always impressed by the fact that every single panel that I do it's like its own little painting.
Sure.
And here he is working on one piece, one composition for like 40 hours, and I have to bust one out in like 15 minutes. So the whole composition thing is like it's really great. That's why I think sometimes comic book artists go on to do storyboarding jobs because it comes so naturally. Like you
Sure.
already know what you're doing.
That's cool. Victoria, you got another question for us?
I don't even know what the original question was.
Oh, it was about natural talent.
Oh, yeah.
I will say, on my own experience with natural talent, I did work at painting and drawing, but I worked a lot. I didn't work as hard. There would be my classmates, and they would just be. They would spend hours and hours on things, and I could just whip it out really fast, and I would get a way better grade, and it would look visually better. And I feel very grateful
You're
for
able
that.
to, yeah. I think some people just come out of the womb like they can see the matrix,
Yeah.
and others struggle with it.
So yeah, last week Quad City Times did an article on you. Yeah,
Yes.
that's so cool. I'm so glad they reached out to you. And you think that she found you from me posting about you in the gallery space, or how do you think she found you?
I mean, it's like I sent you a flyer to post on Art on the Bend Facebook.
Yeah.
And then it's like the next day or something, I got a follow on Substack from Nina Baker, which is the interviewer. And she had followed me on Substack, and I'm like, oh, who's this? So I Googled her name, or like I figured out or it was her email address, whatever.
Sure.
I was like, oh, okay, so she works for QC Times. And then maybe like a week later, I get an email like, hey, we want to do like a little interview.
Sure, she probably had to approve it with her producers and stuff first.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That makes me feel so good that I know when I'm putting my artists out there that I'm showing in that space, they are getting seen.
Yeah.
And that makes me really happy.
That's really awesome. Yeah.
So in the article, you talked about Inner Void, and
Yes.
it was a website you created that you were doing illustration battles.
Yeah.
Can you tell us more about that?
Okay, so early 2000s, there are a bunch of this is like the birth of the internet and like sharing art and stuff on forums. A forum is like a Discord it's basically a Discord, but it's on a website. So you'd go to a website and there'd be like a forum, and that's just like where I met a bunch of artists. For anybody who knows like Scotty Young, like he started one, and that's where like I just met a bunch of internet artists, and a lot of them were like up and coming comic book people or that wanted to do comics, and we all just started floating around the idea of like, well, we should just like draw a character. So like you would draw a character, and then I would draw a character, and then we would both agree to the terms like, all right, we have a month to draw 5 pages. My character will be beating up your character and vice versa. And it didn't always just have to be like Dragon Ball fights or anything. It could be like, oh, you know, it's a like a chef battle or something, or we're playing chess.
Or
you know, see
Superman versus dinosaur.
yeah, stuff like that.
So
silly. And so it would be like, you know, we'd both draw the pages and then we upload them to the internet. And I was running the whole thing. So I would be coding the website and I'd be uploading all these pages. And then there was be like a voting button thing. So anybody in the world could vote, you know, on who did better. Right.
Sure.
And then you'd get a winner. And as time progressed, we just started developing like this huge community of just like, you know, like tons and tons and tons of artists, and there would be battles like all the time. We'd have tournaments.
What would you get for winning? Just like props from the community?
Oh yeah, you beat the hell out of that guy. Good job, man. And obviously there were some like really standout people, and a lot of them are like working in the industry now. There's a guy named Kenneth Rockefort. He's like done a lot for both Marvel and DC. James Stocco, who has done like amazing work for like his own stuff mostly, but I mean he's done like Godzilla comics and Aliens comics, and like, he's just done everything. Marley Zarcone, which is James's wife, and she's done a lot of stuff for DC. And Vertigo, and there's just like a ton of other people that have either done comics or they've gone into the animation industry.
Yeah.
And I know that through those connections on that website, people were able to. I mean, not only there's like 4 or 5 people that got married. Like,
aww.
Yeah, that were like on that website. They met there and then they got married,
That's cool.
Which is like super adorable. I don't want to say that it was my fault, but you know.
So you were the mastermind behind the start of the website, and then it grew very organic, and then it became a community of where like-minded comic book illustrators or illustrators.
Yeah, and then after some time, one of my like my best friends since childhood, I begged him like, hey man, can you please help me like with this website because it needs to be better and it needs to be coded better. And his name was Kevin, and he came by and he's like, all right, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna code it in like some advanced coding language that I didn't know. So he made it like even better, and that's when it really blew up because then people had to log in. They had like passwords, and you know, like you could collect your comics. You know, whereas before I was just doing it by hand. But thanks to him, it just got better. And now it's like we both don't even touch it, and there's like the community is not running it, and like the only thing that I own for it is like the website, the URL.
So it still exists?
Oh yeah, and it's still there, and people are still there. People are still battling.
That's cool.
It's
that really feeds
awesome.
into that discipline. And really honing in on your craft, learning that skill. It's so important as an artist to be fast because when you get slow, then you get behind, and then a project sits for 2 years and you don't finish it. So you have to have that speed.
And it becomes stale, and you don't want to touch it anymore.
Yep.
So,
Yep. You got to work on it while it's fresh.
But yeah, it's like the idea of just having a community, especially being able to have friends that are artists. Because I know like out here, I've been, I don't want to say I've been drowning, but man, there is I know that like back when I was living in Chicago, and I didn't live in Chicago proper. It was like the Aurora area. But I knew that like if I wanted to go hang out with some comic buddies, I could go into the city where they mostly are, or I can go to another suburb and hang out with other art buddies. I had that, you know, that ability to do that
In the community, yeah.
Yeah, but here it's like, I don't know anybody here. Now I know you.
Yeah.
But beyond that, it's just me and my wife, and that's it. And otherwise, if I want to go hang out with other artists, I got to go like 2-3 hours into Chicago to go hang out with people.
That's a whole mission.
And that is like, I'm not going to be able to come home that night, so I got to stay with like my parents or my sister or something. So it's like,
Yeah.
You know, and you only have so much time in the week. So
Right. Yeah. I feel like our community, it's here, but we aren't connected at all. And we're missing that in the Quad Cities. Tell you, as we were setting up your artwork at the gallery space, you're telling me about art jams. Can you tell me more about like how those work and why you think those are important and cool and some of your experience?
So to me, like the art jam, like the first art jam that I ever went to was at a San Diego Comic Con in like the early 2000s. And I just like me and my buddies, we just went into like a bar lobby, like sorry, a hotel lobby. And at San Diego, there's a lot of like you know like there's bars. There's usually a bar in every hotel that you go to, right? Usually, unless it's like a Holiday Inn or something. But during San Diego, it's like everyone hangs out at the hotel bar. Like all the professional people hang out at hotel bars. And there's usually, you know, just areas for people to sit. And I remember, like me and my buddies, we just came up upon a group of people, and they were just chilling, just drawing in sketchbooks. And then we're like, well, what's going on here? So we all sat down, and somebody was like, oh, yo, hey, it's it's Johnny. Hey, what's up, Johnny? And like, what are you guys doing? Oh, we're passing around the sketchbooks, you know, drawing and everybody else's sketchbook. So here we are for like 3 hours in one night. People just passing around the sketchbook, and you draw a doodle in it, and then you pass it on. So it was like, so that was like my first art jam, where it's like a bunch of strangers just drew in my sketchbook. I got like 10 drawings, people I don't know. Most of them were amazing, like light years beyond what I was at. So it was like super cool. But typically, like the art jams that I've been to are they're usually called like drink and draws. And I know there's like wine and draws, which is like establishments where you go and you like it's like a little class and you hang out with your friends and you drink wine and they teach you how to paint on a canvas.
Sip and paint.
Sip and paint, yeah, those things. It's like that's not what this is. This is not a class. This is you go to a bar or another like
we're hanging out with our sketchbooks.
Yeah, you go to Starbucks.
Bring your Posco markers. Bring
bring
pencils.
whatever you got and just hang out, sit at a table, draw stuff, drink something. And it doesn't have to be at like a Starbucks or sorry at a bar. Earlier, like in the early 2010s, I was friends with a lot of. Oh, when I started going to school, we would do art jams, but a lot of these guys and girls were under 21, so it's like we couldn't really go to a bar. And I'm not a drinker, so it's like, well, I don't even want to go to a bar. Let's just go to a Starbucks and hang out and just doodle. So we do that. But I think that's like a very good spot to sort of just like see other people as artists and kind of get a feel of what they're doing and pick other people's brains. Like, hey, can you take a look at my stuff? What do you think? You know, like, you give me some pointers.
So you could go there and you could start a new drawing or a series of drawings, really quick ones, or you could be working on a piece that you've probably already put like 5 or 10 hours into and get feedback from other artists and be like, what do you guys think of this? And then just work on that while you're there too and just hang out with friends just to feel inspired by other creatives.
Exactly, yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. We need to do, okay, so we're doing Art Jam at your art show next Thursday. Yeah. I'm going to bring my sketchbook. And then
it's no pressure.
If we have people turn up and they like it, we might start hosting one once a month.
That'd be good. There is actually there is a store in Bettendorf, I think. It's called Color Market.
Yes, I know. Yes, I know the lady who owns it.
Kylie
I know her kind of.
Okay, Kylie is amazing. She's super cool, and she's actually starting. She started one a little like a art jam get together thing, and she's doing an inner shop. She had one whatever day that I went to go set up.
Yeah.
That's when she was doing hers. But like she's got a little one, and there's enough space. Like she filled it up, I think, but there were only like 10 people there. Yeah. So I know her space is kind of small. But
did you go?
No, I couldn't because we were setting up.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I totally would have gone.
That makes sense because shortly after we got you set up, she followed the gallery page.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But I mean, like I think like it's clear that there are people that want to art jam, and I mean, even if there was one like once a week, I think people would go like every week because it's almost like it's to hold people accountable. You know, that's another thing is like if you want to become a professional artist, or even if you just want to like grow in your art, like you're not concerned about being professional or making money, like, but if you want to grow,
Yeah, you just love it and you want to be better.
yeah, you need somebody to hold you accountable to that. Because otherwise, you know what happens. You get home from work, or it's a Saturday, and you're like, okay, let me just go on the internet. Let me just go on Instagram really quick and see
Right,
if
all that time we like just scroll aimlessly on our phones. We could be drawing,
yeah,
or doing something productive with our time.
yeah. It's a
That is really
siren. It is
important.
an evil siren.
It really is. So, Gabo, what brought you to the Quad Cities area? Why did you guys move here, or in the short term? Not in a, you can make it simple. And then, why did you step back from doing as much freelance work?
Okay, so the pandemic hit. So me and my wife, who by the name, her artist name is Cloverkin. You can find her if you Cloverkin Art. You can find her just about everywhere. But we were doing a lot of convention, like comic book conventions, anime conventions, and literally we had like a convention like every month, at
Wow,
least one. And we were just traveling around all over the place. Like Seattle, California, New York.
that's so cool. You have a
Yeah,
wife that you can travel with
yeah.
and do art fairs with. That's like the dream.
Yeah, it was awesome. But then we moved to we were living in Oshkosh for a bit, and then we got a dog, and so we're like, all right, we're gonna take a little break, and we decided to like alternate, you know. So we're like, okay, you do this show, because she does significantly better than I do, because she's a salesperson, like she is like a smoking gun, silver tongue like salesperson. And I know silver tongue is like she's evil. Or, no, she's
No,
not evil. She's just really good at connecting with people and
sure.
like just starting up conversations. I suck at that. Like I come into a room and I'm like,
Well, especially when people are looking at art, you don't want to be like, "Look at my art, buy my art."
yeah.
You have
No,
to
but
be.
she's super good at just
The
like being
skill.
like income, like heartwarming, like people just want to talk to her. And so there were, like, so we picked our shows, there's ones that I would do well at, and there's ones where she just didn't want to go to, but she would probably do better than me anyways. And my art is a little more difficult to digest, I think. It's just because my stuff is a lot more raw, punkish.
Sure, it's got more of that edgy comic book style, where
Yeah.
hers is more commercial.
Yeah.
Like little kids love it,
Yes.
young
Yeah.
girls love it,
Yeah.
moms love
It's
it.
like fantasy, like she does a lot of like fantasy work, like D&D stuff, and so yeah, people just love it. So yeah, we started doing things, and then 2019 we come out to Chicagoland area. We have a new dog, so we started alternating shows, and then 2020
COVID hits.
hits, and we're
Bum
like,
bum bum.
everything shuts down. It's like March. Animal Crossing comes out, and that's all we're doing. It's just Animal Crossing. And
That's real.
yeah, and then at that point, I was working on a book for this is an executive producer of Family Guy, not the executive producer of Family Guy, but a executive producer.
Okay.
And I worked on that project for like 3 years, and so. It was like 2021, and my rent was going up, and we're not doing shows, but because we can't do shows.
Yeah.
So it's like we need to get the heck out of Dodge. So we looked for houses, and we wanted something near some sort of water, and we only had so much money.
Yeah.
So we found Fulton, Illinois, which is near Clinton. It's across the river, across the Mississippi from Clinton, Iowa, and we found like a perfect little house.
Yeah, they're affordable homes.
Oh, yeah.
Well, especially compared to the suburbs of Chicago.
Oh yeah, yeah. And it's like, well, we're freelance artists. We don't need to live anywhere, like a bustling city. Like, let's just get the hell out of the major areas.
Yeah.
And
How has that shift been of like living near a big city and now living like kind of not in the middle of nowhere? Fulton's very far detached from the city.
I'm getting so used to it that when I come into the Quad Cities, I have like immediate like anxiety. It's not really that bad, but it's like Chicago mode, and I'm good at driving again. But otherwise, it's like there's like coyotes and like I've seen wild turkeys. Have you seen the wild turkeys over by your place? Yeah.
Yeah.
it's crazy where, like where I'm at now, where it's like there's no traffic. There's no traffic. Like I know if I want to go from point A to point B, I know the exact time that I'm gonna get there. The only thing that might stop me is a train.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to learn the train times. So, but in major cities, it's like, yeah,
Yeah. I lived out in California, and out there, if you were going to get a job, depending on where you lived, you were going to commute 1 to 2 hours, no matter what, to get to work. But here in the Quad Cities, people are like, wow, you drive an hour to work? That's crazy. Where it's very normal for other people in other communities.
yeah.
So
I get that a lot when people are like, you work where and you live? Why? It's like a 40-minute drive. What?
it's a nice drive,
You're
though.
crazy.
It's
I'm
so
like,
pretty.
For me, I'm used to it. It's
Yeah.
like if it was an hour, I'd be like, I'd still do it.
We road trip up there quite a bit to go to like the Palisades and stuff. We'll take a cool old car and just cruise, and it's a good road.
That's good. But yeah, so freelancing just came to a halt, because of the economy and everything. And so at 2022, beginning of 22, I think, I was just like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to need to get like a legitimate job now. And this is more of a I need to versus I want to.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, I got to go back to my roots, and I'm going to work at I'm going to work at Walmart. I never worked at Walmart before, but it was like I know it was like a minimum wage. What I mean by roots is minimum wage, just like grind job, like where it's like,
Get your 40 hours in,
Yeah.
know what you're going to get paid.
exactly.
It's
Yeah.
consistent.
Yeah. And at that point I was like, this is actually what I've been missing. Like the, knowing that I'm going to get paid on a Friday, every 2 weeks, like that was incredibly like freeing, knowing that I know when the money's going to come.
Yeah.
I know. Whereas with freelance, it's like, dude, I have people that like sometimes companies that like they don't pay me until 45 days out from finishing the job.
Yeah, that's super stressful. I've been
Yeah.
in that situation quite a bit.
Yeah, and then sometimes like I have to go chase the money down, and it's like there was one that I had to like it was like 4 or 5 months, and I hadn't gotten paid yet, and it's like, dude, like there's a lot of money, like I need to get paid, and so freelancing was just like, and then on top of that, it was the whole, I got to post on Instagram every day. I got to post not only a post, a reel, a story, and then I got to do that on TikTok. I got to do that on Twitter. I got to do that on Blue Sky. I got to do that on whatever new social media there's around. And it's like, but I also have to do Twitch. I got to start streaming on Twitch.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Marketing on social media, it's so beneficial, but it is so daunting and exhausting on top of just being a creative and just creating your craft. I have to do that with my murals. I feel like that has helped me a lot grow with getting more work and finding and becoming connected with my community. But I have to, I'm so bad. Most times I'll make a TikTok while I'm driving home after the job. And if I don't do the TikTok as I'm driving home, I won't have time to get it done. And it'll be like 3 weeks later. And then like the customer is like, hey, where's your TikTok video? We want a cool video. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. I just got caught up in life.
Yeah, it's rough.
So you took a break from social media for a while. Like how long was that break? Like 3 years ago when you moved here? Was that when you made the break? Or?
No, it was actually, I want to say it was the beginning of 23. Yeah, like at the beginning of 23, I think. I know I'm fudging the dates or whatever, but the reality of it is that I was doing I had a sketchbook, like a daily. I brought it with me. I had like a daily journal. It's Hobonichi, and it's just like I filled it, like I filled the sucker.
Yeah.
Every single
Those
day.
are so amazing.
Every single day, I did 365 drawings. Don't tell anybody, but some days I had to catch up and do like 3 or 4 of them.
Sure.
Because
You're only human.
Yeah, things happen. Like
Yeah.
you get sick or whatever, you can't draw.
As long as you made up for it.
Yeah. And that just like burned me out like mentally because every day I was drawing something and then I'd have to post it on the internet, as opposed to posting it anywhere else, not internet. But it like burned my brain, and I was like, all right. And then it's like around 2023, like algorithms like started changing like significantly, whereas everyone was suffering. Like everyone was like losing followers or just not getting views. Instagram, Twitter, everywhere was just like, hey, we're just gonna like change things. Sorry.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, and then also it's like all of a sudden people, you know, like either dropped off, quit, or somehow we're still doing okay.
So with my personal experience, I've never been able really to draw a crowd, like a viewership that wasn't organic from this area. I've never been able to reach other people really, unless it was other mural artists because I'm doing hashtags.
Yeah.
But like to get just like normal people finding my work and my videos because they think it's cool, it's hard to find that audience
Yeah.
or to get out there to them. And my specific audience has just been who I know in the Quad Cities, and they follow me.
Yeah.
So that viewership's been very consistent, but
Yeah,
finding those.
it's so rough and it's dumb and it's like so yeah, I basically deleted Instagram and Twitter off my phone. And I'm kind of like super happy that Twitter is just going in the dumps because then one other thing that I don't have to worry about. And I actually burned down my Twitter account. My username is still there, but I burned out everything. And now I know people are trying to like get out of Instagram, get out of Facebook.
Yeah. The weird thing I saw in X now is that I was reading another artist had shared on Facebook that if you post your artwork on X, their AI picks that up and then it's usable within their AI algorithm.
Yeah, and it's like at this point, uh, I think every company now is gonna just use your artwork, and I know a lot of people freak out about it, but
Yeah, it's such a weird technological age we're going into.
yeah.
I almost feel like when I post work, like videos I'm not so worried about, but posting like a straight on like finished photo of my art, I think I'm going to start doing watermarks really big through the center of them. And then I'll have that gallery space where if people want to come see my work, they can see in its full beauty in a live space in person. But I don't really think that it needs to be on social media anymore.
They also have I don't remember the name of it, but there are people actively making sort of like a virus for images, so that when AI consumes it, it like deteriorates the AI. So it's like you run it through the software. Like you'll take your picture and you run it through a software, and it'll like poison the AI.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so it's getting nuts. Like
That's intense.
Yeah, like artists are trying to fight back, but I know, and a lot of people are just like it's over. Like art is over. Because AI is just it's getting so good. I mean, I'm sure you've seen like the videos of like just recently there was one from the Grammys where Beyonce won, and she's like, oh, she gets up, and then like all of a sudden horses come out of nowhere, and like,
Oh, yeah.
no, cowboys come out, and it's like AI is getting like out of hand, and people are scared that it's just gonna kill art, and it's like, but you know what? You know what's not gonna kill art is local people. Local people are gonna be like, they already know what AI looks like. Like they've already learned like, oh God, that's AI. 100% that's AI.
Yeah.
Eventually they won't know it. But I think the local people in your town, in your cities, will be like, nah, I need to talk to somebody who's real, and I need to see them. I want them to draw something for me. So people like muralists, actual graphic designers, like I think they're gonna be good in their local spaces.
Yeah, because AI can't go put a picture in the building.
Yeah.
Now I could use AI to create an image, which I have seen a lot of in the mural community where, and I've even used it too, so I can't say that. I've used it in ways where, like before, I would search Google for hours for reference photos for using to draw off of characters or a specific portrait of a boy posed a certain way, but now I can type in an AI like I need a little boy with brown hair looking up to the sky, so I can get like that.
Yeah.
I don't know, and then I can get different images and then collage them and then assemble them in my own way, in my own style. So it's really useful for that. But I have seen just straight up where someone's putting in a prompt and they're just putting that exact prompt on the wall.
Yeah.
And you can tell it's AI by some of the characteristics of the AI program because you can see it when you see it. and then even like including you were telling me about that mural where the lady she had like 7 fingers,
Yeah,
and it was there's a mural in a Mexican restaurant.
yeah. And so that the other problem with like I know a lot of people that were trying to use AI to, like what you're saying, like do the referencing from.
Yeah.
And I know I had to call out a few of them because it's like they didn't understand that like what they were looking at is an AI reproduction that has been stolen from other people's art or photography, and also it's wrong. And that's the biggest like downfall, is that like the younger generation who doesn't understand, or like younger artists, and I don't mean by like age wise, like like an 18-year-old. I mean like people that are new at art. They don't understand the difference between like like if it was the little boy looking up to the sky, where the placement of the eye is and the nose and stuff, and they're just like referencing it and drawing it, and if it's incorrect, like if the eye is like shifted wrong or it's not in the right spot,
Like the pupil, you mean?
yeah, like they won't know,
Yeah.
because they haven't learned the math of art, of where it's supposed to be, but they use reference. It's like, yeah, but it was AI generated. Yeah, but it's a photo, so it looks like a photo. It's like, yeah, but the computer didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah.
So whereas if you found a legitimate photo from a photographer, that doesn't lie. That's I mean, maybe they could have like photoshopped it a bit, but typically they that photo didn't lie. Or you take a photo of yourself looking up to the sky.
Or just like call a friend who's got a boy.
There you
Be
go.
like, hey, can I come photograph your son?
Yeah, and go back to how they used to do it, and like before the internet.
Yeah.
And I know it's like crazy stupid, and like AI is supposed to be there to like somebody said something along the lines of like AI is supposed to help me, so that I don't have to do the things that I have to waste time on. AI is supposed to give me time, but now it's taking away my ability to art, and now I have to go do the things that AI can't do, like wash dishes and stuff.
Hopefully we have those robots in like 2 years where they just do our laundry and dishes.
That would be nice, yeah. Yeah.
They have them. They're already made. It's just a means of everyone getting one.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Side note from robots, your next big project, you're illustrating a book, and it's got some historical elements. It's very emotional. Can you tell us about that, the process of it, and
yeah? So it's a I don't like there's the book is taking place right at the beginning of World War II. So it's a young adult comic book. So it's for like early teens, and it's like a historical thing, and it's being published by like a major publisher, like
historical. What historical moment?
In World War II.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. That's all.
So
That's cool.
like it takes place in Vienna, Austria. So it's about a few Jewish kids having to deal with the height of Jewish people being thrown into camps, and just like them having to deal with the reality that the Nazi Germany is coming in, and things are starting to change, rules are starting to change, and so initially I actually I started working on it because one of my friends that I've known for like decade plus, Joanne Starr, she really wanted to work on the story because she herself is Jewish, and she's actually living in Vienna now, because that's where her family comes from, I think. I'm assuming because she was able to like get citizenship there or something along the lines of that. But so she wrote this story, and so she's like, "Do you want to draw? Do you want to draw it?" And I'm like, "Absolutely! Like this is like a very important story." And it's like a story that hasn't been told before, as far as I know. I mean, maybe there's like some books
like
on
a
it.
viewpoint, like the viewpoint hasn't been told. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's cool.
And so we were just doing it on Substack for a bit, because she got a grant from Substack to work on another story with her partner, Kari Randolph, who's an amazing artist in its own right. And they were working on a different story, but because of this grant money, like she was like, well, I'm going to take half of my money and I'm going to start up a secondary project. And so that was the project that we worked on. And so we worked through like maybe like half of the book. And then things started slowing down because she got an agent, literary agent, and they're like, "Yo, we want to. This
We
can get
want.
made. Somebody will pick this up. Let's just slow down on the art, so we can find a publisher for it." And that was like beginning of 23, I think. And I was working on it. Sorry, no, it was beginning of end of 23. I started working on it, I think, the beginning of 23. And then at the end of 23, that's when things started slowing down. And eventually we found a publisher. And now I'm starting up again. At the beginning of the year, I started drawing it again. But yeah, I felt that it was very important for me to do a book that is not just about robots and and like
Yeah,
mutants and
superheroes.
monsters. Yeah, like doing
A
something
more
that
serious
yeah,
storyline.
yeah, it's fun. It's still fun. It's cute. It's like it's a cute book for kids. And I felt like it's necessary for me to
How many pages is it going to be?
it's like over like 180 or something.
So
It's
illustrated,
it's a lot,
180 pages.
something like that.
Holy smokes,
Yeah,
that's a big project.
yeah, oh yeah. For me though, I'm used to that.
Yeah.
Like my past projects have been
Can you run us through the process of doing a children's book, like very quickly?
yeah.
My own experience, I created a page layout where I illustrated based on the context, made my quick drawings, and then I would send them over to get them approved. Is it a simple, and then you would finalize and do more fine-tuned drawings,
Yeah.
or does she trust you where you can just do like the full finished drawings as you go?
No, it was more. It's more like in comics. It's like you do the thumbnails or the roughs.
Yeah, thumbnails,
So
there you go.
yeah. So right now I'm in the process of I have to rough the entire book first, and then I have to send all those in, and they have to approve them, and then I go in and I do the inks,
Yeah.
which is the final line work.
Will it be color or black and white?
It'll be color. Yeah.
Cool.
So I have to do 100% of it. Like I had to do all the art for it, and then somebody else does all the word bubbles, the lettering. So it's going to be a long time until I
Okay,
think.
so when you're drawing the thumbnails, you don't have to take into consideration where the word bubble will be for each illustration, or you do? Okay.
I do, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that like some comic book artists, when they're starting off, they don't think about that because they don't think about the final product. But that is a very, very important part of it, and yeah, I have to take into mind, where that's going to be, which is sometimes awesome because if you have a character talking and you don't have to draw a background there because there's going to be a lot of talking.
Yeah.
So you're like, I'm just not even going to.
Easy page.
Oh yeah, this is easy. Yeah, yeah. So
That's cool. That kind of goes back when we were talking about how you used to do a lot of freelance. So now that you have a stable job, working at the sign business, and doing the printing, you've got that consistent paycheck. So now you can kind of focus on these bigger projects that are a lot more expressive of you and your style, and you can take your time with it, and you don't have to feel as rushed. So that's really nice.
yeah. Now the only problem is coming home and like having the energy to actually like do this stuff.
Sure, after a long day of work.
But the nice part is that when I'm at work, the job is easy enough where if there's a machine running, I can have a narrative running in my head like a page. I can be figuring out like how I want the composition to be in each panel. So it's been like a godsend. Like this job that I have is like it's very good for me mentally to be able to break things down, or even just my own story ideas and things like that, or projects that I want to work on. Like I'm able to do that in my head. So when I get home, I can just like start laying things out.
Yeah.
So it's
and
awesome.
your job coincides with art, where for the gallery space, you were able to print your illustrations on that PVC board.
Yeah.
That stuff was so cool.
Yeah.
And it was very like sturdy, and the printing, the quality of the prints on that substrate was gorgeous.
It's phenomenal. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, for anybody who wants to know, it is Sign Team in Bettendorf. We do a lot of we work with a lot of businesses. So if you need any like stickers made, magnets, vinyl banners, whatever, like we got you. And I'm usually the guy designing things. Or so if you need design work, if you need help with something, I'm here.
Yeah, if anyone follows my work, I had my Santas over
Yes.
Christmas, and I had sign team print those Santas on canvas, and the quality of that canvas was phenomenal.
Yeah.
So those looked so good.
When I saw those come out, because I saw them printing out of the machine, and I was like, oh my goodness, who is this? This is some really good. This is actually good work. Sometimes we get like work that's like, it's okay, it's all right.
Oh,
But
you're
this
so
was
sweet.
this was like I could tell this person knows what they're doing. So I'm like, I'm asking my boss, who did this?
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's Atlanta. Like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that makes a lot
That's
of
so
sense.
nice.
Yeah.
That's cool. So looking into the future, you got the book. Any other projects you're looking forward to, or you just kind of focus on that for now?
I do have besides the book, I'm trying to put together, I've got like 30 pages drawn of a web comic that I'm going to be putting on Substack and on Tapas. So I'll be announcing that, or I'll be releasing it via Substack at some point.
Yeah.
But it's just going to be my own fun little sci-fi comic about a carrot that's trying to help humanity continue existing. So just it's a little side project that I can do so that I'm not like just losing my mind on the same old thing all the time.
Sure. And it sounds like a way to like express anything like thoughts you have lingering or things going on in the world that are troubling you. It's a way to express that.
Yeah.
And get your story and share it. That's very cool. For me, being a mom, this is like my one night a month. I can like hang out with some friends and talk art and just relax and not have my kids. So I really look forward to the art exhibitions. We've got a full calendar this year. Those art shows are all posted on the Facebook page. Next month we have Amber Williams. She's a collage artist and does these beautiful landscapes from like Colorado, or inspired from Colorado, and they are amazing. So go to the Art on the Bend Facebook page. I might be rebranding that name though. I think I'm going to change it to Rust. It's just going to be Rust.
That's cool.
Because it's the Rust Belt, and it makes way more sense to just call it.
That's cool.
So, but right now it's Art on the Bend. Art on the Bend. It's got our calendar for the whole year of all the artists that are participating that I'll be showing. It also has the dates of those art exhibitions. And Gabo, thank you so much for sharing a little bit about yourself with the Quad Cities community. We're happy to have you here and to join us.
Thank you for having a thing here, CEI. Like I listened to the previous podcast, and it's really cool to like hear from other artists, even if it's not
so
we've got
musicians,
and poets. So it's super cool to know that there's a community that wants to not only just because I feel like sometimes the communities there, like musicians are over here in the lunchroom, and the poets are over there.
We all intertwine, and we all have to stay connected. It's important.
Because at some point, I'm gonna need a jingle for something I know.
Yeah.
Or I'm gonna need like maybe I don't know if I need poetry, but who knows? Maybe someday I want to put a haiku on one of my pieces. I don't know.
Or you follow a couple poets, and something they say inspires illustration.
Exactly.
And that's really cool.
Yeah. So good job, CEI. You're doing God's work now. Good job.
Yep, God's work in the Quad Cities. Thank you guys for tuning in and listening, and catch the next show.
Yeah.